For this week's roundtable discussion, ladies will be discussing the concept of colorism.
So I grew up, or at least my early childhood, in El Paso. So again, like just most people in my personal community, and I also went to a bilingual church as well. So most of the people in my community like looked like me when I was like a little kid. But once we started hopping around everywhere, and especially when I ended up in little old Kerrville, Texas, that was when I felt very different. I remember that was the moment that I felt very different from everybody else. And I tried so hard to make friends. And I do kind of still do this, but I do it in be better, like, I am meeting new people, I'm going to be bubbly and stuff. However, back then, it was just, I want to blend in and be as the same as everyone else as I can, as I physically can. I mean, because of where I lived, most of the friends that I gained were all lighter than me. And there's not really, I mean, I was born like this, so like there's not much I could have done, but I still felt like maybe I should always wear this sweater. There was this one red hoodie that I wore every single day that covered my entire body, and like even in the summer in Texas, and like I made sure my entire body was covered all the time, so that when it was actually summer and I had to take my clothes off for like a pool field trip or whatever, or camp, that I didn't feel so left out, I guess. I don't know, but I was a young kid and I didn't know how else to change that. I thought they would just like me more if I was lighter. So there was, after all that, my first musical that I did, I was a lifeguard the same summer. And I got so tan. And I remember seeing pictures of myself when the show actually opened, because when they hired me, I was probably this color. When I did the show, I was probably like 10 shades darker, I think. Like my best friend in the show that was cast in the show, she was African American, and we were the same color by the time we opened. And I remember seeing that and not being disgusted with myself. Is that terrible? Like I remember looking at that and being like, oh my god, I actually look okay. Like I am okay with the fact that I am a darker skin tone. Right. And then like most of the other people on the show were all like, they were all lighter. And it didn't bother me like it did when I was a kid. But as far as colorism goes, I think I might have created that myself. I don't know if I
think it's an unconscious stigma. I'm sorry to interject. It's an unconscious stigma because you got to think about it. It was only 60 years ago that segregation was illegal. You know, it was about 1960, so I guess a little bit more than that. But so I think it's an unconscious stigma, especially so Lillian and I grew up in Texas, and Texas used to be a part of Mexico, and it was invaded, taken over by the white men, and it was separated. So there was a mix of brown and black in certain parts of Texas, and segregation was still so strong. So we grew up seeing these images of people like our parents experiencing segregation. Segregation, was if you're darker, you're a bad person. If you're lighter or if you're white, you're okay and you're legal. So it's just an unconscious stigma that we forget. And I feel you, because when I was growing up, I used to do the same thing. That's so fun. That's so weird. I had a red hoodie too. Red hoodie would cover my skin, and I'm fairly light skinned for being of Mexican and Native American descent. I'm fairly light. But I remember I was like, I can't get darker. I can't, because no one's gonna like me. And I grew up in a very, very poor community, and it was mostly black and Hispanic. But other parts of San Antonio where I grew up were super white, super rich, super Republican, super, honky-tonk, redneck, hunting sort of style, and you know, they would give you this evil eye if you were anything darker than they were. And I have a sister who's black, and then there's me. So when we would go together somewhere that was not our neighborhood, people would be like, why are they here? And so we would already have in our head, oh, it's because we're darker. We don't look like them. We don't belong here. We're not worthy. Mm-hmm. And so it's just, that's what I experienced a lot growing up as a kid. And then I remember tanning, and actually, backtrack, I remember buying makeup that was a lighter, because I was like, it has to work. I have to look lighter. I can't be seen as a dark-skinned woman, because then I'll be judged. And that was important to me. Why? I don't know.
No, that's exactly, like, I don't know why it was. I feel like I just could get more friends. Acceptance is what I thought that I would have.
We had this country that was founded by white men, and they used people of color, they use black people to, you know, as slaves. And so we have that stigma in our head, oh, they can control me, they can take advantage of me, they don't like our color, they don't like when you're darker. So it's just like, I think that's where maybe that comes from. And then it was just, we were just born into this world where segregation was still kind of not too far down the road. So you have people that still obviously now are racist, and you have groups like the KKK that still only go after dark-skinned people. And so that's why I think I grew up kind of just not wanting to be dark. I don't know, but I feel like that has something to do with, maybe that's why we think like that way, or thought that way rather.
Which, no, I obviously no longer feel that way, but yeah, I just remember being so strong, and I don't know what, and I wish that I wish it wasn't that way. And I hope that the generation after us, I hope that they will never feel that way. And I mean, I personally myself can't promise that our next generation will hopefully not experience what we experience, and I'm sure they'll experience some of it, because right now I feel like it's come to a little bit of a halt, and we're having to do another giant push like they did during the civil rights movement, because I feel like that was that one big push that got us over the hump, but then it kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not diluted, but it kind of slowed down, because they're like, okay, we got over that one big hump. Like, they now have all the rights that we have. So they're fine, right? Like, they're good. We can stop there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I just feel like there needs to be another big movement, especially with what's happening in our country right now. I just feel like there needs to be another huge movement towards that direction, so that the people after us don't have to work as hard. Yeah.
I'm just jump in.
Yeah.
Talking about the push, and I do agree that a push is needed. I think that push is beginning to happen. I think that the reality of having someone like Trump, it's not even about Trump himself, but someone like Trump, and that there are other political forces, not necessarily in this country, that support him in being our figurehead and our and the president, that because that happened, that the resistance is forming right now. Mm-hmm. And talking about international forces, you're thinking about in colorism, in my opinion, it's hard not to experience colorism as a person of color, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, because of imperialism coming from people who are white and European, and their reach throughout the world, and along with installing themselves as the imperial master in different countries throughout the world, bringing with them the sense of superiority because they look how they look. Mm-hmm. That is not something that's exclusive to the United States. It's pervasive. Mm-hmm. And my family's from Jamaica, and Jamaica, like I said, most people in Jamaica are not of any kind of white or European descent. Mm-hmm. And if they are, it's still highly mixed, but still doesn't mean that colorism doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. That there are many people who feel like lighter is better, but and that's in a country where most people are of African descent. So it's not even so much about majority of numbers or minority of numbers. It's the colonial influence in a country like Jamaica, which has only been even in a way not even really all that independent from its imperial master, but technically independent since the 60s, and you know, which is not that long ago, and that there are countries where countries in Africa. Many countries in Africa, you think about how majority, all overwhelmingly African, of course, because they're in Africa, and still this idea of lighter being better is still pervasive, and has nothing to do with the people being mostly white. It's because they are still dealing with having an imperial master that visited this idea upon them, and in many people just accepting it and taking it in. And so, what does it take? So to say this. Saying all this to say that although I have not felt directly maligned in any way because of my skin tone, doesn't mean I didn't experience colorism, because to be a person that isn't white, in my opinion, means that I'm going to experience colorism in some way, whether I'm watching my family members feel negatively and wanting to be lighter. I've always wanted to be a little bit darker, and I think that's because most of my family members are a bit darker than me. And so, well, not all of them, but some are, and my mom is about my skin tone. And so I was just like, if I'm going to be anything, and you also, because I tan and I tan readily, it's like, okay, I like it when the summertime, when I get a little tan in, I'm like, I'm cool, I'm happy with this now. So while it's not my personal struggle, growing up around much darker people and hearing them being called crispy and, that kind of thing, or if they were a lot lighter than me, then high yellow, and, people being labeled the light skin jokes, right? Because you light skin, so you're emotional and crazy. And that's a thing now that's like,
what?
Yeah, the term, you getting your light skin feeling. You acting light skin. It's a thing. It's a thing, and it's like, okay, and it might be funny, but underneath that, it's like this idea that being light skinned is like watered down black or something like that, and also seeing growing up that there were you think about like when you're younger and people start to date and like hook up and stuff like that, and maybe the light skinned long haired girl in the black community, long haired light skinned girl with the light eyes was like the prize, and why is that? And so even if I didn't feel a way about that personally, I saw it and I was just like, well, what is that about? And just saying all this to say, no, we're not that far from when segregation in this country, when segregation was still a thing. In many ways, although it might not be legally implemented, segregation still exists, like very heavily, particularly as diverse as New York City is. New York City is also heavily segregated. People still live amongst their own mostly.
Yeah, this is true.
So it's just like that segregation still exists in that way. And so, you think about all these things together. Yes, colorism is around, and if you don't see it, this is you're not looking for it. It's so ingrained in you that you probably don't think it's a thing. And so to say to you that it might have seemed to come from you, just that no one might have said it to you directly, but it's like, how could you not absorb in that idea that lighter is better? Like, of course you're gonna do that. I think I'm a little different in that respect because I didn't absorb it in, but. We all get it,
We created ourselves. We created amongst ourselves. Just like in our own communities, we have the Portuguese location. We have the Haitian area. We got the more black area. Then we got the area that, is mixed with black and Latina. And then, so we, even though, we don't experience it on a day-to-day basis, we created ourselves because this is what we've grown up with, because of the stereotype that the media and, textbooks has created, and I haven't really, experienced it directly with anyone, but I've also experienced it growing up. Like, my best friends were light skinned, so, I would see if we would go out, they would get more attention, but, I wouldn't get any. So that was something I had to accept for myself, that, sometimes dark skin isn't what, people prefer, but, this is I am, this is how I was raised, and, my family is a melting pot because we're not just all African American, we're all mixed. My brothers and sisters are Spanish and black, so I've never experienced that directly, but I've always grown up, come up with the term, "Oh, you're pretty to be a black girl."
Oh, you're
so pretty.
God.
Look at you, you're pretty.
That makes me so angry.
That really drove me crazy. I hated that because, I'm so much more. And, it's not to be black. I am black. I was born this way. So it was a lot to come out of that stereotype. And I felt like, I love fashion. I love, looking great because that's how I felt. So if just being pretty to be a black girl means that I'm going to be the one to stand out, then so be it. Because I'm more than just black. I'm more than a dark-skinned woman. I'm more than being an African-American woman. I'm not, living according to the stereotype. So, in regards to colorism, I think that we ourselves have to change that stereotype within our minds in order to progress, because we're not going to be able to go anywhere because we're sticking to those same categories. Like I always say, sometimes I feel, with what goes on in the world, if I go to another country, am I going to feel like I'm going to be safe because I'm a different color? And again, that's only because of the things that have happened in the past, and that still goes on a day-to-day basis. So it makes me think like, I want to explore, but how can I protect myself in this foreign environment? So it really goes a lot of ways, and a lot of people, if they don't change their thinking, and we're still going to be so stuck.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing, because we were talking about like the pretty for a black girl thing. It really irritates. But inherent in that statement is like the insert whatever thing here, black girl. Like it's like the idea that black is inferior in itself, so you happen to be that, but also exceptionally gorgeous. And it's like, actually, no, black people, we're kings and queens, so like, it is what it is. I am this, I just am that, and I think that that's what the combat, the isms, the colorism, the racism, and at least somewhere in there needs to be this acknowledgement within yourself and then to the people that you're talking to, like actually worthy of love, and I'm royalty. How about that? Yeah. So so don't tell me that I'm pretty for being a black girl or a fat girl, because I get that too. I've got that all my life. Actually. For a big girl to be a big girl, you just lost some weight. I'm like, how about I'm pretty? Done. Done.
Why you dressed up? You going somewhere?
No, because I feel great about myself.
And it's Sunday. How about that?
Exactly. I want to be extra on Sunday.
Right? Like you, because I'm black, I'm brown, I'm fat, or whatever. Like I can't be celebrated. I can't celebrate myself and look good, and you know what I mean. Like we're supposed to keep ourselves down. Exactly. All these things, and it's like, no, actually, I'm going to put out. And so doing that too. I mean, you make a statement. People might not like it all the time, but it's all good because you have to accept. Right. You have to accept you. You have to accept you before anybody else is going to accept you.
Yes, definitely.
Right. So.
I hope you enjoyed this Smart Glamour video. If you did, please like, comment, and share. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe. Have a great week.